This is a GPU mining rig. A long time ago in a galaxy far away, you used to be able to mine Kaspa on GPUs. Now it's all moved over onto ASIC. The reason why we bring this visual reference out is for some of these new artificial intelligence rendering projects that have been casted as extremely hot for the 2025 bull market that we're going to jump into at the end of this video. Right now, we need to focus on technical analysis. All the fundamentals are in place. We know the Bitcoin halving is about to start. The only thing that can give us more insight is the chart. And while this is a video about the Kaspa chart, to kick it off, we're going to start and zooming out on the one-day chart. Notice how we have three different trend lines that are repeating. We have these red trend lines, the golden trend lines, and then these purple breakout trend lines. Now, these purple trend lines are our control trend lines. As we can see, both of them have formed a broadening wedge pattern, the exact identical broadening wedge with the purple and gold lines. And previously in the 2021 bull market, this acted as showing the top of the cycle. Fast forwarding to now, this is our control line into the peak of the 2025 cycle. If we fast forward this purple line up to April, it's right around $110,000. Now, as we can see, we've already jumped on top of it. So zooming in on the 15-minute zone, we bring a Fibonacci pitch on it, line it up with all the waves of the price action, and then we zoom back out, fits exactly onto the previous purple control trend line. This is going to give us massive insight into where the peak will be in, correlating with some of these resistance levels on this Fibonacci pitch. Now, removing this colored Fibonacci pitch, we can see these red slashes. Notice coming off the peaks of 2021 bull market all the way back till, remember when we first hit 30,000 and everybody was like, it's going to go flying, it's going to run. We were the lone channel that was saying, look out, there's this massive resistance right here. There's going to be a bit of a pullback. And while this was a slight stumble for Bitcoin, for altcoins, this crashed the market. When we line a Fibonacci pitch exactly on top of this, all of these trend lines and even more space out perfectly with the Fibonacci series, including the pattern that we're on right now. All the way back from FTX till right now are all correlated with this repeating trend line with the Fibonacci pitch. As we can see, even on this previous breakout, this broadening wedge pattern back here in January, it was right on top of that exact same trend line that actually touched off the tip top of the 2021 breakout. This charting technique is known as origin trend lines. Now, jumping over into the Kaspa chart, we're going to use the exact same setups. Now, the two major trend lines that we have here are, see this support off the bottom of the cup throughout the summer and the fall? This trend line actually originated in November of 2022. Notice this first breakout in Kaspa, and it was going from like half a cent, fleshed out for its first time. When we clone that trend line, it actually fits right into the bottom of this cup and handle. And upon this Fibonacci pitch, we can see the peak of the original April breakout, the top of the cup and handle formation, and the recent November breakout finally started to test the top of this Fibonacci. Now, originally, even myself thought we were going to just blow right out of it. But very similar to the Bitcoin, when we're testing these really strong resistance levels, it's going to take a couple pushes before we actually poke through to the other side. This brings us to our second origin repeating trend line, which is our resistance trend line. These all started way back in April at the beginning of the cup and handle pattern. We can see with this white dotted line. It then repeats again with strength during the handle formation. And of course, if we set a Fibonacci pitch up in here, all of these massive divots in between the April descend and the handle on the cup, they line up perfectly with the Fibonacci 316 spacing. Now we can see we fell on this exact trend line during the falling wedge pattern after the November breakout, and we're on it once again. Some fine points to note here. When we're on the underside of this trend line, things are extremely bearish, and recently we've been behind this trend line. Just recently, we've gotten on top of it. So a breakout is starting to form. The massive question at hand is this: does this repeating trend line have enough gravitational pull to give us one more bounce off the top side, we then break out? Now, there's a way that we can confirm when this breakout is indefinitely happening, and that's by measuring the gravitational field. This has happened again and again, all the way back to the handle of the cup. On this trend line, we can see these spikes marked by the dark gray dotted trend line. Once the candle surpasses this distance, once it gets far enough away from the gravitational field of this descending force, farther than it's ever been away from it before, then we can confirm the breakout. And if it holds right at this 14.5 cents level, right in between the blue and the red zones, it will be approximately on the 21st of April, which is right during the Bitcoin halving. Taking this gravitational field concept a bit farther, we create this green dotted trend, which shows how far our last breakout got away from this descending force. And right now, the strength hasn't even matched it. Now, in this scenario where we can get past this green dotted trend line, this is one step closer to reaching the gray dotted trend line, thus confirming the breakout and escaping the gravitational field. But as of right now, we're still even inside the green dotted trend line from this recent push to the upside. This is symbolizing bearish action, and when we add on another indicator known as oscillator stochastics and Chenking's oscillator, these are very similar to RSI and MACD. They're showing very neutral signs, as our fuel tank, Chenking's oscillator, is completely fat. Typically, when there's going to be a breakout, your Chenking's oscillator will be making new highs or will be above the baseline. Right now, it's actually been descending and it's just going completely flat. So it's very neutral, and the stochastics, which is a lot like an oscillating RSI, is fully at the top right now, so is likely and probable to make another descent back down, which could symbol a hard bounce off of this white dotted trend line. Based on all the technical analysis, yes, Kaspa will make another pullback, bouncing off of this white dotted trend line right around the Bitcoin halving, and then start its ascent into escaping the gravitational field. And finally, the exact technical analysis we've been going over in this video. We built a model to project Kaspa's 2025 peak. Get your hands on it inside the Patreon so you will know to a certainty when the top is in on Kaspa, Bitcoin, or anything else that you're holding. Which brings us back to that GPU rig we showed everybody in the beginning. There's been a lot of talk about a new AI crypto release called BLENDR. What BLENDR is selling is the Box One miner. It's a plug-and-play edition. Now, originally when I was reading over this project, I was pretty bullish and excited about it. It wasn't until we went through the 24-point report, which goes over stuff that most people would never think of checking and really helps us put all the pieces together, that some massive red flags started showing in BLENDR. Just to give you a few, the team isn't doxed. They can burn and mint tokens unlimited. And then there's the veteran crypto trader factor. That's why I showed you that rig of 4 GPUs. All the nodes, so the consensus algorithm on BLENDR, are going to be running off this Box One model, which is essentially 1 GPU in a rig. All the veteran traders know you're going to have at least 4 GPUs for a rig, sometimes 8 or 12. So this one-off card to a rig isn't going to make sense to a lot of the veteran traders. That's a lot of whale capital that won't be driven into BLENDR. They've also been doing advertisements on Tesla's Twitter, which tells you right away, Retail is their target audience. Had those advertisements been into the 3D modeling station inside of MIT, my hat would have been off to them. I would have had way more respect for the project, but they're targeting retail. And with these plug and play projects, you will see some upside, but more often than not, they rug pull way before the rest of the market hits their peak. You guys saw how much Tau jumped up today. Well, guess what? Our number one pick that we've also got a 24-point report on also jumped on today, and it's competing with Tau head to head. For any of you guys that own a lot of Tau, this won't really be diversifying. It would be like in stocks if you owned a solar company and then you just bought a brand new solar company that's looking to be rivals with them. This way, when solar hits hard, like Tau in this AI sector is gonna hit hard this coming market, and you can tell by just looking into the projects that are up and coming. Check out Open. I'll leave a link for this in the comments. It's like a mid-journey and a print on demand put together. There are zillions of these novelty AI projects. It's going to be the hot driving force for this year, which is going to make Tau rip, and it's going to make our number one pick rip. We've got 24-point reports on loads of crypto projects. Some of them aren't even, most of them aren't even listed on the exchanges yet. That way, should you deem it advantage to do so, you can buy it directly on the first day, like with our GameFi pick, which is going to be super hot, absolutely crushing. Everybody's talking about it, just not in the crypto world. It's all the gamers. They're all talking about this video game, and crypto doesn't even know anything about it yet, except for everybody inside our Patreon. If you're outside of the United States and you can do ICOs, IDOs, don't miss out. Super friendly price. You get loads of value. Thanks for checking out this video, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.